All right, so the employment data just came out, and I'm going to be explaining to you guys what this employment data actually means for the market and why the market is actually going down a little bit. And of course, right now I'm going to be recording this before the market even opens, so I'm not sure how the market is going to be moving later on in the market open. So yeah, just keep this in mind when you're watching this video, because most likely you're going to be watching this on a Saturday. So anyway, let's head on over to the employment data. Over here, let's see. Okay, which is employment went up by 372,000 in June, and the unemployment rate remained at 3.6%. So what does that actually entail? 372,000 jobs created in June. Okay, and of course, the Wall Street consensus, we actually estimated 265,000 instead. That's about 100,000 more than expected. And of course, in the month of May and June, we actually was down about, I think, about 70 odd thousands job. So I think that this is more likely an equalizer sort of play. But nevertheless, it's great to see that we have more jobs coming in as well. However, something that we have to really read between the lines, the first of all, which is the unemployment rate remained at 3.6%. It simply means that as much as more jobs were actually being created, it simply means that a lot of people are basically just jumping in between jobs for them to actually get their pay raise, or people are just taking on more jobs, because that's definitely a possibility. Okay, especially with how inflation is working out right now. I don't think having 2 to 3 jobs sounds completely chaotic to someone else. So I don't think that sounds completely ridiculous. I think that is a very, very plausible chance of happening. All right, next up, we have to actually look into the unemployed persons. Was essentially unchanged at 5.9 million in June. Okay, so afterwards, we kind of just look into the permanent job losers at 1.3 million, the temporary layoff at 827,000 people. And of course, 827,000 people for the temporary layoff, you can actually take into consideration. And of course, we're actually getting out of this entire environment. We just got out from a pandemic. And of course, with the whole pandemic, we got a whole recovery from the pandemic. And of course, afterwards, right now, actually, recently, we are going through with this whole entire crypto sphere, where basically everything is in shambles. Okay, you're seeing hedge funds close down, you're seeing exchanges shutting down, suspending withdrawals, and a lot of people are getting job cuts. Okay, look at Meta, look at Coinbase, look at Uber, look at all these different companies out there in S&P 500. They're basically saying, you know what, we have to cut our jobs, And of course, we're not seeing the full effect of that just yet, okay? But that is something that we have to actually brace ourselves for, okay? Even Tesla themselves is intending to cut about 10% of their jobs as well. So that's something that we have to really take into consideration. So I think that, definitely the temporary layoff is going to be getting more and more higher over the few months to come. I do think that is one number that we have to really keep an eye on if we really want to, look into this market. All right, then next up, we have to also, let's look into all the other numbers that we want to see. Okay, non-farm payroll and employment by 372,000, we already know that. Okay, so professional and business services, of course, if you're interested, you can just go through this yourself. Okay, all of them basically were all up. Okay, leisure, hospitality up, healthcare up, transportation, manufacturing, information, social assistance, wholesale trade, mining. So basically, all of them are all up. However, this does bring a very, very important question. So having such a strong employment data, doesn't that mean that the market should basically go up? No, because let's not forget that we currently still have a 8.6% inflation year over year at the moment. That's weighing down on us, okay? That's the first thing. And the second thing is that we have to understand that the Federal Reserve have always been echoing the same statement, especially Jerome Powell. He has been echoing the same sentiment over and over again. We're in a strong labor market. And if we're in a strong labor market, it means that we're able to shoot up the rates. And if we were able to just push the rates up completely, according to Jerome Powell, and of course, if you have not read the minutes for the FOMC, check it out on my channel. I'm going to link it up here somewhere. It's less than 4 minutes. You can just go through it, speed it up by 2 times if you want to. You can get the information out very, very quickly. Just to go and listen to that video, then you can get a better understanding. All right, but anyway, what I do want to say over here is because this means that Jerome Powell basically have this understanding that since the labor market is that strong, it simply means that having a 75 basis point hike is almost guaranteed. Okay, we are almost guaranteed to see a 75 basis point increment in the next meeting. And that's why the S&P is kind of just, suffering a little bit at the moment. Right now, I think they are down about almost 1%. And, of course, evidently, we can see that happening. But of course, at the same time, let's not forget, because S&P is also sort of like an index, you're bound to kind of see all the different oil stocks that's going to be helping bring it up, because commodities are definitely going to be going up because of this. Okay, you are seeing all this sort of sudden increase in jobs data. Commodities usually go up. Your 10-year treasury usually go up. So those are the things that we have to really take into consideration for this entire report. But yeah, honestly speaking, I think after this report, I would like to say that the chances, okay, just talking pure chances of us getting a 75 basis point increment for the upcoming FOMC meeting, I think is somewhere in the 70 to 80% region. Of course, some might actually just call it 100% as it is. But like I said before, okay, I don't want to talk about the employment and inflation data I don't want to lump them up together. I said it before, I don't care about the employment as much. I care about the inflation. I want inflation to get out of the way. And if that's the case, I want the rate hikes to come in fast. Okay, I want Jerome Powell to just rug pull the market, because he needs to rug pull the market in order for us to get rid of inflation. Okay, we cannot treat inflation and unemployment as one entity, and because they are supposed to be two separate entities. Okay, it's good that we are going to be getting good employment data. We're going to be having a good labor market, and that's why that will further propel Jerome Powell to kind of just sort of rug pull the market per se. But I think that, the important thing is right now we have to get rid of this roaring inflation. And after we get rid of this roaring inflation, then we can kind of talk about the employment market, the unemployment market, and whatnot. And I think that's kind of what Jerome Powell is thinking, but he's kind of thinking on a different layer. He's just wanting to make sure that, if our labor market is strong enough, we can actually brace ourselves and handle a sudden increase in rate hike. Of course, some people are even starting to pen down a possibility for a 100 basis point increment, because let's be honest, because if the CPI were to come out 1.1%, which is according to the estimate, 1.1%, if we actually analyze that, it's actually 13.2%. And of course, if you actually do it year over year, it's about like 8.8 or 8.9%. And that's kind of the worry. Okay, if prices continue to go up, we are definitely going to see a lot of pain. Okay, but of course, I do think that we are going to see a lot of pain, hopefully for another 1 to 2 months in terms of the inflation side of things. I do see it somewhat of a peak coming in sooner or later, of course. But I do think that, for inflation as a whole, it's just very, very hard, because, I actually made a video, I think 2 months back, where inflation plateau. Okay, having an inflation plateau is actually starting to become a buzzword because people were worried that inflation is going to stay at this abnormal high and just plateau. So I think that's going to be a concern for a lot of people as well. But for right now, I think that the Federal Reserve definitely will be looking at a 75 basis point increment to a 100 basis point increment. I think the 50 basis point increment is completely out, especially if we were to look at the CPI data that's going to be coming out next week, I presume. So if next week we get the CPI data, chances are we are going to see a horrible market after the CPI data. So yeah, but just brace yourself. And that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video and you watched till this far, please like the video and also subscribe to my channel. Okay, I'll be posting video every Wednesday and Saturday, and sometimes if something urgent actually comes up, I'll just post whenever I want. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.